Hello and welcome. Today is the 6th of July 2017. My name is Derek. Welcome to this evening's video taking a look at the cryptocurrency land. And this is a type of day or week or maybe even many weeks where you could be spending time on vacation. A lot of the movements are in sideways motion, but as this is playing through, and we could put even another rectangle in here. So a rectangle within a rectangle. But how it's playing is a couple decent days where, wow, it's got a very good bullish setup. We can see that the two pierces within today and yesterday is in or around the area of where it traded in here the previous week. It's doing such while it's resisting for 3 consecutive days. This flat 18 average of highs, a little higher than 26, where it's at now, 26.05. So we're like waiting and waiting for the situation of break of the band, thus attempting to start a bull market. And the resistance points 28 and again here at 3,000. And of course, falling back down, you're looking at support. The 18 average of lows is well over 2,400, looking closer to 2,420-ish. And of course, these previous lows have come into play. One thing you do notice about the pattern of these higher lows is that you have this one significantly higher, this one significantly higher. So anything significantly higher would pretty much translate to that 18 average of lows or higher. The downtrend line that is accompanied by such has been taken out, and it hasn't gotten above it, and at least as of yet rolled over, which can be an occurrence of markets in situations, of course, with neutrality. This case, a symmetrical triangle. Let's shorten this out to the 4-hour time frame. And in this situation or time frame itself, with these higher lows, interesting little pierce earlier, which of course rebound with momentum moving towards the upside, that a lot of it stems back to in here. Because during this situation, what was occurring was the resistance being hit, come back to this band with an extra longer correctionary move, and within such after, and sorry if it stalled a little bit because I did execute a trade within this quick second, but from this point on is this consolidation in here. So that's that support acting within this resistance. Now it needs to break past here for me to say this is willing to go. So this is why it's still important, because that's what its attempt to do, and its status hasn't been consolidated or failed yet. This isn't breaking through. This is holding its area extremely well. Of course, this resistance area, it's 26, pretty much where it stands. And any significant leg higher, it's done its trick, and then this is no longer important. But it kind of still is, because it's playing within its pattern. Switching to the weekly time frame, which is showing more of its consolidation, but obvious long-term uptrend, and it hasn't touched the 18 average as of yet. But thinking of this as a long-term investor, trader, if you compare this to E-Trade or any traditional trading accounts, you're using your fiat currency or dollars or euros, whichever you're using, as your money. I find it very cool to use this as your money, and yet it can be traded back up and down, which is a pretty cool thing. You can get a chance to invest in something which has good reason to continue its movement, because a lot of people entering into this, why? Because it's a non-centralized monetary system, which every fiat currency, keyword fiat and corrupt, is such. Then whether it's corrupt or not, it's all about people's opinion. If they feel it is and they get out into such, then that's happening. And then you got a group of people that just look at this on a technical level or see markets going up. They're like, holy cow, this is going up so well. And then that just, of course, becomes self-fulfilling prophecies, as I would expect, of course, more higher moves. With that being said, when you're playing in the long-term situation, you can go through rough rides at times. So having moves come back to here and then working its way back higher and taking a long time to do it, it's possible. And if that's the case and you hold, you go through the dips, you're back higher again, well then so be it. That's what happens. There's probably a whole bunch of people investing in here and then buying in 500 up on the way, then boom, they're falling, and then oh my goodness, I remember buying at 500 and 600 and 800. Now it's down to like 300 in here. Well, today everything they bought in here, despite going through all of this, is in the profit. And that's really one way of looking at these price corrections, because it can be so hard to determine if you're a long-term trader and how easy it is when you feel the buying and holding is good. But the key thing is, as long-term traders, when you have your position, when do you plan on selling? What price? What situation? I want to wait for the fiat currency system to get out of control, and that's when I want to do it. Or in case it gets in such a bad shape, I'm glad I have it, and that's the reason why. And there's your plan for why you buy, because no matter what it is that you're buying in this, you got to have a sell strategy, in my opinion, for that play. Let's move on to some other codes, because this has taken some time. All right, so let's move on to Dash, and I'm going to go over the charts that I want to go over. Again, no ETH or ETC with its same movements. And then I'll go over the requests from this morning's 2.5 minute warning video, which I'll be doing most mornings. So any requests for future days, that's where you would put it in the morning's video. Dash's session after yesterday's up move. Nice, beautiful consolidation. As I was saying, I wanted to see it hold somewhere nice above or where the area of the high was. Successful. Let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame. And in this, it leaves the band and it moves up to here. So that's a leg higher. It's not a big one. It's it might be a small one, but it's at least a standard doable move to consider it as one leg higher. And when that's the case, then you'll need to go down a little bit to make higher lows, and hopefully you have a good enough move that support can be at an area of some previous key resistance. Yeah, of course it was. But since that, or what's going on currently, this green candle moves up from the band, a little bit of down move back. Could be some sideways consolidation, but nonetheless, move to point A, back to this band. Once this thing could start to lift off again, and even in here, it looked like it was, because after this green candle, at one point, there was a nice green candle close to this 85 point. And if you buy here, well, there's oftentimes, if you hold because the path of least resistance is higher, you're buying because you're seeing the early stages of the breakout. Most of the time, that's going to work out. And those are the risks of buying on the break. Sometimes it's not always going to play out, because you buy here, it's down in this point in here, almost making the double top kind of formations. But you're doing this while it's still at this rising 18 average. I suppose you could still see possible support come towards these areas, and it could still work out towards that very slow bowl-shaped formation on the daily time frame. But you also got to give the benefit of the doubt to the buyers, because it is breaking out at a key stage now that it's at this 80 level. But you never know. It could go sideways for a period of time as well. Litecoin, from its move, it had a very good leg higher. One small correctionary move to the band, keyword small, because a few periods going sideways, or this is a 4-hour chart, same time frame, but coming down to here, up to this point, and now correcting within this band. So pretty much the similar sort of pattern that the Dash chart has, as Once any type of bullish momentum, price action gets well north of the 20, close to the 21, then don't be surprised to see some decent up pushes over a one or so day period. Let's go to the daily chart for this though. And in this daily time frame, supporting this level of resistance, that's very strong. Beautiful move within this 18 average for several days. 3-period break, and the holding of it is very nice. It might have more congestion time left, maybe even a little bit of price correction. Is still a nice higher low, and it's still obviously in a nice uptrend. Let's move on next to Monero. And it's going through a good day today, as it's up a little over 8% against that of the price of Bitcoin. Is this feeling in to be that of a possible failed breakdown? You know what? This is a very, very choppy chart. But when we look at some of these up moves in here, we've had going over the band anyway. This one in here, and then it falls back. Then there's this one, decent move. This one, okay, call that decent. Then you have this and this. So it's at the phase now of leaving the 18 average of highs. See how it plays out. Now let's go over the request from this morning's 2.5 warning video, 2.5 minute warning video. I just started the series, so I'll get used to it. Anyway, EOS is next, and even my thought about ICOs when they first come on these exchanges, I do usually look at them oftentimes. And one thing that I've noticed is they can often go down really quickly on the intro. And I know they get moved before they go there, and I'm a trader in XBY waiting for the situation in coming here, thinking the more I see these, maybe I should be selling a lot on a situation of entering an exchange like this nature. And when I see this new data, I can only work with shorter term time frames like the hourly and such, and I do that. However, when I'm in a situation within this, I see the market in here and going sideways. All I could really do with this at this point, and I'm not even going to do it, but all I could do is wait for some strength breaking this resistance, and then maybe if you could see a good setup in this area, you can play for a move up to here. But other than that, I really can't do much within it. Let's move on to Bittrex and use the markets from there because they're not available on this platform. But before I do that, I had a request for DGB, and it just looks terrible on this site. So let's show you what it looks like in here. And this is something that doesn't look like a standard log chart at all. Apparently it is. I'm going to put this exact same chart on Bittrex after I'm done with it. Definitely not something I'm bullish about. Definitely something I really don't want much of a part of, as after this up move, sideways correction, and here's your spot to show what you're worth, I guess. It didn't really trade much in here. Rather, it resisted it for quite some time. And you know what? It's still resisting the 18 average of lows. It started doing so at the price action at around 1,200 or so plus Satoshi. Now it's doing it at a price of around 700. Let's show the same chart on Bittrex. And the size is much smaller. I guess I could fix it by resizing it. I don't know how well and good the numbers would look. I mean, I know it's not size proportion there. Maybe like this, and you know what, that doesn't do it either. But we'll do it for this one. We'll just make it a smaller look for the rest of the charts. Same look, 18 average being resisting, but I can see things better. Markets to where it came from. Maybe a small move here, but I wouldn't buy at 500. I can calculate some Fibonacci, and I already have. So let's bring in the numbers. We have a low of 16, and thus high is 26.95. 23.6 down is in, which says 76.4. 804. So that's this little area in here. So that's being supported, resisted, and within this downtrend, I'd want nothing to do with it. But the next number below that isn't at around 380. Which would be within this congestion area in here. So that might be an area where I might consider being a buyer, but I have no buy orders in for it. SNT is next. It says 1 minute. It's actually the 1 hour time frame. It's one of the new ones that have come on. And this is all the data in which I have at this point. And within such, I could just see, just by looking at this, that it's correcting at this 61.8 down level. It's already established this key level of resistance in an area where it's supposed to correct. Its move right now is a little weak as far as how it's moved from its high. It's been several periods, a lot of weakness in here, but any type of strength breaking in, especially getting above here, this thing could at least move up to its previous high end. I have no other data on this, so it's obviously very limited. QRL is also been requested. There's no 18 average band in here because I can pretty much tell just by looking at this, and again an hourly chart with very limited data. But this thing has been in a constant downtrend. Down move here, sideways up, and then just this neutrality in here, but down move, up and down move. I guess you could say that previous resistance levels may come back into play, but I couldn't state when there would be a good time to be a buyer. We can maybe look at even numbers. That might be a small indication, but it doesn't say much. The 30 even handle was support. The 20 even handle has seemed to be. Maybe a little over 10 might be the next one, but I really know nothing about this code. Because maybe it might be cheap and it's just time to buy right now, but I don't know. With the ARC chart, which is next, this one only has a few days, but you know what? I really don't need much more. This gives me a lot of information. And what I see in here, like a lot of these cryptos do, you have your significant up move, correct a lot or whatever through time. Significant up move, correct a lot again through time. So is this rally going to be something like in here or in here that's just going to make you extend the wait longer? Well, maybe. It could also be the start of maybe another next great move. As you've had before in here, you had like 8 or so consecutive green candles. And who knows if it's going to do the same thing again. But what it has done as far as technical analysis is concerned, this thing, you can say it was declining. Technically it was. It was rising here, this band. It was flat here, and it was declining here. So overall, it's been neutral, mainly within this part. So a lot of it is just bringing it back to the neutral end of this range. So I think it could still work out well breaking out from this band, but the bigger level of resistance is going to come in closer to that 35,000 mark. And any clear breaks above that, especially if it has a move to this point, some sort of short-term correction, and then breaks it like that, then it'd be looking to have what could be moves. Well, from here you go from 1,000 or to 10,000 to like 45 or so. So you go from 20 maybe to 80 or 90, who knows? Or 70 is even a significant gain as well. But a lot of these moves in the crypto lands have significant plays. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great night, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with a 2.5 minute warning. Take care.